My grandfather, Arthur, was a man of mystery. A former homicide detective in Boston, he suddenly quit at the peak of his career in 2001. That was the year my life fell apart. My mother died in a car accident, and my father, unable to handle the grief, simply vanished, leaving me in my grandfather's care. My childhood was anything but a fairy tale. While other kids were learning to ride bikes, I was learning to strip a Glock 19 blindfolded. Grandpa called it playing hide and seek with fate. We moved to Vermont, to this cursed place called the Quiet Haven Motel, when I was 5. Arthur never spoke about my parents. If I asked about my mom, his face would turn to stone. Elizabeth is gone, Emma. Your life is here and now. Your life is about safety. Safety was his religion. The no vacancy sign burned over the entrance for 20 years straight. Arthur raised me like a police academy cadet. At 7, I knew how to apply a tourniquet. At 10, how to pick a lock with a hairpin. I hated him for that toughness. I desperately wanted a normal life. I wanted a mother to braid my hair every morning and a father who laughed and carried me on his shoulders through a sun-drenched park. But instead, I had a detective grandfather who always smelled of gun oil and cigarettes. I knew his harshness was just his way of protecting me from the same pain that killed his daughter. When I left for law school in Boston, I thought I had escaped. But Arthur's death last month pulled me back. His lawyer handed me a folder with the motel deeds and a note. Emma, this is yours now. But remember one rule. Never open the door to room 402. And if you ever hear knocking from inside, do not answer. Just run. I arrived at the Quiet Haven on a rainy October evening. The motel was a long U-shaped building. The paint was peeling, and cobwebs covered the windows. For the first 3 days, I systematically opened every room. Inside was a frozen era of the 90s. But when I reached the wing where room 402 is located, I felt a strange chill. The door to room 402 was heavy dark oak with a complex steel lock. There was no key for it on the ring. That same night it happened. Top, 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 top. A rhythmic, distinct knocking on the wood. I was completely alone in the motel. I went into the hallway with a flashlight. At the door of 402, I pressed my ear to the wood and heard a faint whisper. Someone was crying. The motel had a life of its own. To keep from going crazy, I started exploring the other rooms and noticed something strange. In room 108, there was a book of fairy tales, bookmarked with a Boston Zoo ticket from September 12th, 2001, 2 days before my mom's death. In room 210, "Don't forget to breathe," was written on the mirror in lipstick. That was my mother's favorite phrase. Grandpa had turned the motel into a giant archive. In the storage room, I found a cassette tape labeled Rain Noise. On the recording, Arthur was arguing with someone. "You can't keep her there forever, Arthur," a man's voice shouted. "She's only safe as long as the world thinks she's dead," Grandpa replied. I realized Quiet Haven wasn't just a motel. It was a prison or a sanctuary. In Grandpa's office, behind a false panel, I found his diary. "They think the fire hid everything. But I know Elizabeth is alive. I will create the perfect cage for them." I bought a heavy-duty drill and a crowbar. Outside the door of 402, the sound repeated. From the other side, someone clearly said, "Emma, help me." It was my mother's voice. I jammed the crowbar into the frame. With a deafening crack, the lock flew off. Behind the door was my childhood bedroom from Boston. The same pink wallpaper, the same doll on the bed. But instead of windows, huge screens broadcasting a view of our old garden. In the corner sat a woman with gray hair. It was Elizabeth. "Why did you come in, Emma? Now you're trapped too." My mother told me everything. My grandfather Arthur didn't just hide her. He saved us. In 2001, he was working a case against the Syndicate of Shadows, a group of officials involved in human trafficking. Mom found a list of their names. Arthur faked her death in that accident to save her from execution. He created this digital paradise, room 402, so she wouldn't lose her mind within four walls. She turned a monitor toward me. "I saw your every step through these cameras, Emma. I saw you grow up, saw you cry, saw you leave for college. Grandpa said if you knew the truth, your eyes would change. You'd start looking for me and the enemies, and they are professionals, would read it in your gaze. Your loneliness, Emma, your pain of being an orphan, it was all part of his cruel safety plan. But Grandpa is dead. Who was bringing the food then?" My voice broke into a scream. At that moment, there was a knock. Top, 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 top. But it wasn't at 402. It was at the motel's front door. Arthur's death had dropped the invisible dome of protection. Every trap has a back door. Mom rushed to the wardrobe, behind which a hatch to the drainage system was hidden. We dove into the damp darkness, just as the oak door of 402 shattered under the blows of a tactical team. In the tunnel, a red light flickered, a motion sensor. "We need to cut the blue wire." Mom pulled out a hairpin. 421, remember the room number? It's the code. For seconds to hold, 2 turns, 1 pull. She deactivated the mine a second before the blast. Arthur had planned a liquidation system. Gas hissed into the room, followed by muffled pops. The Quiet Haven Motel began to collapse. We escaped through an old well in the forest. The ground shook. The motel was in flames, destroying all the secrets. We're on the run now. Officially, the fire was blamed on faulty wiring. Mom is eating a real burger for the first time in 25 years at a diner on the other side of the country. She's relearning how to live in a world her father hated so much. But in my backpack lies Arthur's blue diary. On the first page is a list of names. Arthur knew that when he was gone, the syndicate would come. He wanted me to be ready. We won't be victims anymore. I close the diary and look at my mother. I see a new strength in her eyes. This time we'll be the ones knocking on doors. The Quiet Haven Motel is gone, but our journey is just beginning. Every family has secrets, but some are buried deeper than others. If you want to see what names are on Arthur's list and join us in uncovering the truth, subscribe and stay tuned. Our next investigation starts soon. Thanks for watching.